I'm Bob Harden here with Keith Flaw and Pastor Rick Stevens, the co-founders of the Florida Citizens Alliance. I'd be interested in knowing, I actually attended the very first meeting of the Florida Citizens Alliance. How did you guys decide to do this in the first place?
Well, I sometimes tell people it was by accident, but we were all concerned about the things that were going on in the country, and we got together. You were there at that meeting at the Estero Community Center, and a lot of people poured out their hearts for a lot of reasons that they were really concerned. And we realized that just talking about that amongst ourselves wasn't going to move us where we needed to be. And so we started figuring out how can we work together. And we didn't do that just because we wanted to do something. We did that because we realized we had a responsibility, because this is our country, this is our state, this is our community, and we wanted to be a positive influence, not just complainers. And so that's why we got started, kind of just by doing something.
Yeah, and how about you, Keith?
Well, it was a great deal of frustration. I actually got started. It took me about 3 years, 7 or 8 years ago, to even call myself an activist. That was kind of a struggle. But I just got really frustrated with what was going on with federal overreach. I was involved in a prior group called Get Out of Our House, and built a lot of relationships around the state. And we decided to bring the local team together. In that first group, and the listeners might find this interesting, there were 55 of us, right? About half were Republicans. About half of the half were unsatisfied Republicans. We had a fairly large contingent of libertarians. And then we had a bunch of the rest of us who, I view myself as an original constitutionalist. But we had 6 pastors or related to their church. We had a number of candidates who had run for school board, local. We had local county commissioner, all the way up through state, the Florida's U.S. Congress, actually. And so we had this catharsis meeting that Pastor Rick just described, and it really was a free-for-all for about 3 hours, as you remember.
As I do recall. But you know, the interesting thing out of all that came some very important work, and you guys now focus down on a couple of key issues, and you've been driving that through both the House and the Senate in Florida, building relationships and making good things happen in behalf of liberty for folks here in Florida. You can go to FloridaCitizensalliance.com, and while you're at it, make a donation, find out how you can get involved. Again, FloridaCitizensalliance.com.